Hello, my name is Leonor. I'm from Stratocore. Today I'll be talking about challenging times, ensuring ergonomic organization in scientific research facilities with Stratocore. Let's start at the beginning and let's talk about Stratocore. Everything started in 2003 with an academic project at the Institut Pasteur in Paris, France. The project was to develop a solution to manage the facilities at the Institute. The project went well and continued developing and adding development to it. By 2006, the Rockefeller University joins as partner. By then, ppms is so successful that already 20 sites across 4 continents are using it. By 2011, Stratocore, the company, was founded. Stratocore is a company that only has one project, one software, which is ppms, and is entirely dedicated to it. From that point on, the continuous expansion and improvement of the solution went on with adding new features like the advanced financial account management, publication management, or a powerful API. By now, about 200 research organizations are using ppms across the world. So who is Stratocore? Behind the company, there is a team that understands research management, the workflow, and the dynamics of research. A team that is a leader in understanding how a core facility management software fits within the strategic management of institutions' overall research enterprises. Understands the importance of the interoperability of a software like ppms, connecting it within the research organization, with the finance department, with the IT department, with all the other aspects. A team that successfully delivers rapid, precise implementations and integrations, continuous support with training, collaborative refinements of the Stratocore solution within our customers on a continuous work in progress. So who are our customers? We have here a few names. This is only some of our customers. I'm obviously not going to read all the names to you, but I would like you to know that if you would like to speak to our customers, to have references and hear their side of ppms, to hear how they experience using ppms, please contact us. We'll be very happy to give you names and contacts to discuss the experience of using ppms. So what are the strong points and why is ppms so popular? It is surely the features and characteristics of the software, but also and mainly the service the company provides. ppms is a SaaS. A SaaS is a software as a service, which means that we will guarantee the efficiency of the features, but we will also bring a service with it. In the features, we will count things like the scheduling and ordering. We will have an automated invoicing. We will track the usage in the facilities. We will guarantee a sophisticated price and subsidy rules, having all the different prices you will need. Managing the different levels and rights and authorizations of users, but also of administrators. Having scientific projects, which allows you to manage different life cycles, having milestones and a full communication and transparency with the user inside in the project. The maintenance and incidents on the instruments and the resources will be fully managed and reported, giving you all the data needed to have the analytics about how the systems will be behaving. ppms will bring you an impeccable audit. At all time, you will be able to extract data and have analytics on how things are going. We will also manage the training and from the induction to the fact that the training, the user after being trained will have access to an instrument. Publication tracking with a full publication discovery, automated discovery for users to be presented a potential publication, but also the reporting and statistics, a financial integration with a financial system, the user authentication integration, which allows you single sign-on, facilitating for all users in the organization the access to ppms, and an application programming interfaces, which is extremely powerful. Now, we took the freedom to highlight some of those features because some of our customers have reported that those will be the distinct features comparing to our competitors. And I thought it would be important for you to see those. Now, those are features. I would think, and I would like to say that the biggest differentiator we have is definitely our service and the satisfaction of our customers on our responsive support, our continuous support, the flexibility of the software and its solution. Not only the client owns the data and the database at all times, but the client owns the system, the configuration of the system, the way they want to use the system. Each facility can have a different setup, a different configuration that is entirely up to them to decide. We also are the only company in the market giving you an all-inclusive offer with this service. No hidden costs. We guarantee you will have no bad surprises on your budget because it is an all-inclusive price. Our pricing is transparent and is a clear model. You will know at all times exactly what the budget is. So, how can a core facility management solution like ppms help during these challenging times? The obvious aspect will be that ppms has been developed and has been created to facilitate the management of the core research facilities. And during those challenging times, what has come up is that the features of ppms have been tremendously used and useful to guarantee a smoother a return to and the reopening of the facilities. So this slide is a brief summary of most of the aspects that our customers during this period went through. Remember that we went from closing the facilities to reopening the facilities to now going to a new kind of normality. And here, this is a little glance of what we have seen our users used. So obviously on the booking management, we will have and guarantee the social distancing. We can guarantee that the ppms will actually have no more than one user per area or per room, guaranteeing also a time buffer between the users so that we can have time to clean the material like the keyboards or something, and or have the air exchange. We will be able to restrict or even forbid instruments. This was extremely important when the facilities were closing, because overnight, literally overnight, we could actually close the entire access to all the instruments, which sometimes when it's just a restrictions comes up to the notion of a pointed user, where we will delegate one, maybe two people per lab where accessing the instruments instead of giving access to everybody. We will also be able to prevent trainings. Trainings have been challenging from the beginning of the COVID-19. At the beginning, probably most facilities just went through shutting down all training, with now going back slowly to retraining, but sometimes by remote So the system will allow especially to be special features that allow the remote training to be done. Sometimes it's by video, so the user will be presented the videos as part of the training and as part of the process. And sometimes we obviously go back to in-person training where you can manage everything through ppms. We will also be able to report about these issues at all times. On the security, the main importance of ppms was to increase security, to increase adding layers on the security. ppms by default will always know who is authorized to access the instrument at what times, on what conditions. But with the COVID-19, most of the facilities had to increase the security to a much more strict access. And one of them will be enforcing, for example, that only users with a booked session, a validated book session, can access the instrument. So if you have put in place a two-step validation during this period, which means that every single facility will, every single booking, excuse me, will have to be validated by an administrator, then only the person with a booking can log in at the instrument directly. This is not mandatory. The two-step validation is not for everybody, but because you can impose a user to only log into the machine when they have a booking, we can also enforce the end of the booking. It might trigger a little bit of overbooking to make sure that they have time. But what is important about this enforcement is that you guarantee the time buffer between users. So you never have a user that will actually walk in and find himself or herself in the situation where the previous user is still there and the cleaning has not been done and the room hasn't been aired for long enough. The other aspect is the temporary subsets. Obviously, because the situation is changing constantly, there are conditions that only should be temporary. At some point, we could overnight go back to normal, to what was before. An impeccable audit, again, where you can report about everything due to the COVID, not just the work done about the COVID, but also the consequences of the COVID-19. What was the reduction of production? What was the reduction of users and groups accessing the facility? What was the full impact from the moment if you had to close or partially close the facility to what is now becoming the new normal and the way the facility is? Of course, safety measures are being extremely important at the moment. They change also regularly. And as a result, communication is essential. ppms, again, will for sure help passing this safety measures and documentation to the user, either by the dashboard, by broadcasting on the dashboard, by sending documents, by targeted mailing lists. So it means that you only send to the customers that need to be informed of certain aspects. And very importantly also, making sure that the user acknowledges the documentation by signing the document. So ppms allows you to make the user sign the documentation. All those features were and are in place to facilitate the management of the core research facilities. The idea is every feature that has been developed in ppms is to guarantee you a smooth and easy administration. So I think the best way now to show you how this works is to present you ppms and show you the features of ppms on the system. So we will look at some of the features. As you can imagine, we have limited time. I can't go into detail of everything, but we'll go through some of the features to give you a little flavor of what ppms can do for you. This is the landing page of ppms. We call it the start page. Here, the user will be able to see the structure that the organization has created. May that be one organization or several institutes, like in this example, each with different facilities. The aspect of being able to display the facilities will allow the user to look more efficiently. Of course, the user can also do some searches by keywords or by expressions, which will then allow the user to refine the search and decide to which facility they will want to go and do some activity. As a user in ppms, and the main concept of ppms will be to allow a user to actually only do what they are authorized to do. The main concept of ppms is for the facility to control not only the vision, but the activity that each and every single user can do. So when the user connects, and here I'm connecting as a user, please understand this is not an administrator, but a user. When the user connects to ppms, what the user will see will be an overview of what the user is allowed to see. The instruments the user is allowed to book, the services and consumables that the user is authorized to order directly, and of course, the possibility to request new trainings for induction trainings to access an instrument, or trainings that are more advanced trainings about machines they are already using to perfect the knowledge. A user will also be able to overview all the activity going on for them in ppms. So this every activity you see here is always related to the user with their sessions and with their authorizations pending. The idea is that each user will be able, if they want, to synchronize the calendars, so all the sessions with their personal calendars. The iCal synchronization allows them to define any notification, for example, pop-up emails, reminders that they may want on their personal calendars, making sure that they have and keep track of everything that they want. A user will also be able to report a publication, just like an admin too. And for example, if I put a random PubMed publication, you will have here the entire details of this publication. The little add-on of ppms, you'll be able to quote the authors, even if they already left the organization, the labs that collaborated, but also the facility where you worked about for this publication, and even to the detail of putting each and every single machine that was used, if need be, for the publication. Always thank the staff. You can put the staff that has been assisting for this publication and submit. As a result, this will allow the organization to have a very nice and clear view of all the results and publications in the organization in each and every facility. So let's go and book a system. If the user goes and book a system, you will have access to the calendars. You'll see that the user automatically has a price. Here, it's interesting to see that Melba, my guinea pig, has automatically a price of assisted. The reason is that you see here, she doesn't have access in the early mornings. She doesn't have access to the late afternoon. The reason being is that Melba is what we call a novice user. Actually, it's Marsha, sorry. Marsha is a novice user. And as a result, she is not allowed to use and book the instrument outside of peak hours. In this particular case, I made sure that every novice user is assisted, which means that when Marsha books an instrument, you see the here, this is the buffer time, guaranteeing that in between different users, you have always a buffer time. So let's book here just after her in this section. You will see that automatically when the user books, it becomes a different color. And the reason is that because she's a novice, she will only be able to have a pending session waiting for validation on the assistant. Now, this is only an option. You don't have to have this. You don't have to have those set up. But this is just to show you how it works and how it would be applied. You also have the possibility of limiting and controlling how much users can actually use it. So in this instrument, I have defined the rule that each user can only have a maximum of 2 hours per day and a maximum of 7 hours per week. So if I try to overwrite this as a user, you'll see that automatically PPMS will tell me that my daily usage quota has been reached and cannot be passed. Only administrators, only you, the facility managers, will be able to override these limits, not the user. Another interesting aspect is that the user, if the user wanted, for example, this morning here on Friday, which has already been booked, the user can receive a notification and decide which day will they receive the notification and for which time. So for example, she can't start before 9, so no need to know before 9, and she cannot stay after 4, so no need to know after 4. By requesting this notification, the user will have the system sending automatically an email every time a cancellation is done in that space of time. So the user, the user will receive the notification. Note, if several users have this notification, PPMS is a first in, first served, which means that only the first user to go to the system will actually get the session. Another important aspect is that the user can go from one system to the other. So for example, if I go to another system, you can have risk assessments documentation. Risk assessment here is an example, but one thing that is important at the moment, for example, is the safety measures. And PPMS allows you to push, what we call push new documentation, new measures to the users to make sure that they have really seen. So this one, the document that she had already seen, she had already agreed, otherwise she would have to sign it. But the signature is a blocking process in PPMS, so I can continue and go to another calendar where she can look at what is going on and what is the free time. Okay. Users have also the possibility to look at an overview. So the overview, the advantage is that they can choose, they have what we call favorites, and they can choose what is available, what is not available. This is all about availability. What is available, what is not available. Note that this is independent of the possibility of being able to show the permissions. So if Marsha is not allowed to book at night, she will still see the calendar for the night simply because this is a 24-hour display. So here, for example, you see that some have very red and very bright colors. Those are what we call incidents in PPMS. And if I go here to this incident, there's a problem working on the computer. And you see that how the user sees this is that this is blocked. You see the system, the calendar has been closed, if we could say like that. And there is a maintenance with the supplier. PPMS will allow you at all times to keep track of the incidents, their priority, but also to keep track of how long the incident took to be fixed,
how many maintenance or interventions were done. Here you see there was 2 interventions for the same problem. Supplier came in and obviously nothing was fixed, so he had to come back on the following day. Everything can be reported and everything can be showed as a summary. Users can also report incidents. So from a calendar, if they are using a machine, they could here say to report an incident and actually be able to say, well, at this time, at 9 o'clock today, I had a medium partial problem and found out that option A is not working. And as a result, I need someone to look. Note that you could upload a file. Probably here you would have the log of errors or the screen print error that you have on the computer. Anything that would help. Is the problem solved? Yes or no? No, and I submit. Now, if I go back to the calendar, which is not what I just pressed, but sorry. If I go back to the calendar, you'll see that nothing has changed. The concept is that users can only report incidents. They cannot actually block a calendar. They cannot block a machine from having an issue. If they are technicians with admin rights, if they are an administrator, they can, but a simple user will never be able to do it. What happens when the user wants to access a machine that they don't have rights to, privileges? If, for example, here, the user can see things that have been booked in behalf that are available in the facility. So if they try to book it, automatically the system will reject them and say, you will have to take a training. The training cycle is done by a request. There will then a questionnaire that will be filled in ppms, sent to the administrator to then book a training, which will show in the calendar as a training. You see here, we can see a training, and you can see the name of the trainer, where all the participants will be present, and you will have the cost will be attributed, but also possibilities as an admin to send an email to all the participants, or to even be able to change, for example, the costs or the budget codes you'll be invoiced to, and etc. You'll notice that every time I change a machine, the price has been changing with it, which means that every situation is different, and every single scenario will put the user in a different price range. Now, this calendar is interesting because you see the plain blue sessions here in the future. You see this dark bright blue, which are sessions that were in the past and were used. So you know that the user, the tracker is telling you that the user did show up and use the machine. If you were an admin, you can actually see how long did they use exactly, comparing to the booking. Now here, Patty, in this bright blue, is actually on the machine as we speak. So this is real time. And again, the tracker is telling you that Patty is connected to the machine as we speak, okay? On the other hand, Marsha, who actually is the user, I am here, had a session earlier this morning and did not show up. You can see, because the tracker didn't change the color, the usage was not done. So in this case, Marsha will be charged for a booking where she did not show because she didn't cancel it in time. Note that if Marsha cancels late, you know, too close to the time, like for example here, she would be able to be charged late cancellation fees. Automatically, it will be, you can define for each machine if you have penalties for late cancellation fees and what is the percentage. So in this case, if I had defined that the penalty is 75% of the cost, Marsha will pay 75% of 2 hours unless a user that received a notification, for example, because they're waiting for some free time, uses the machine, and then she the penalty is waived. So let's say that one person uses the first hour, that hour is charged to that other person, and the other hour that is not being used will be charged to my user at 70% as a penalty. Okay. The other aspect that is interesting about PPMS will be the social distancing. And in PPMS, we can guarantee you that you have social distancing. This is a case where I have defined that there is an area A where a microscope can be, there's 2 microscopes, 1 and 2, and the users can only book 1 at the time. And what happens is that here, actually, my user doesn't have permission. I apologize. I thought she had permission to go to this machine, but she doesn't have permission. But you can see that every time she will see that the area is booked or not. What we do in PPMS is that she will be at all times able to guarantee that there is only there will be only 1 person in the room or the area that you have defined for this machine. And here you can see this has been booked in the area, which means that it's the other microscope that was used. And you can see that here the microscope in question is being used here. So on the other one, you will say booked on area I because the microscope 1 has been used. Okay. Another aspect that PPMS allows users to that will be available to users will be, as we saw, defining the incidents, reporting about problems with the machines, but then they can also order consumables. So PPMS will be able to manage the entire ordering process. So for example, if I need glassware bottles, PPMS will not only authorize the user to order the glassware, but also keep track of the stock. So at all times, you will know how much stock there is available to the user. So for example, here, if I put 2 bottles, you see that the price has been defined. Again, this is confidential and only for this user in this situation. Each user could, if this is a scenario, have a different price showing up. So when I want 2 bottles, I have a price. The user can keep it as a quote, maybe to think about it or ask permission to the PI. They can put a purchase order if they are externals, and they can simply make the order, and this will go to the facility to be processed. Note that we can order consumables, but we can also order services. So if you do the analysis of the experiments on samples on behalf of the user, you will be able to also have requests of orders from the users directly to you. Apologies for this. The user will keep track of all the pending sessions. You remember when she did an assisted request, the session was pending, and the user will see at all times if it is accepted. Note that if it's not accepted, she will receive a rejection email. If it is accepted, she will receive a validation email with the name of the assistant that will be available to the user. Now, the other aspect that I wanted to show you is that users can request projects and can run projects in PPMS. The concept of the project will be to have different milestones and different possibilities associated to the project, where the user will actually be able to see what is going on. So if I open a project, she's a member. Note that only members of the project, only participants of a project can see the project. Project guarantees your full confidentiality. The user will see in which phase the project is. Note that this here is the first one, is the quotation. So the facility will actually be estimating the work that has to be done here. And the user will have access to those estimations. So here they were already validated, but the idea is that the user will be able to verify and agree or disagree with the estimation the facility has done on the projects. The user will also be able to see an overview of everything that is going on, what is being charged, and what is the total amount, if there is charges, of what is going on. There is an internal messaging to this project. So info, can you please send me info about progress? And as a result, you can send that by email to the facility or to the members and yourself. And again, PPMS will record everything. This is a perfect timeline where everything is visible. You can upload files, any type of files. It will be recorded in the project. You can upload manifests of samples. You can have all the records. If you need terms and conditions, contractual documentation to be signed, they will be attached to the project too, and be kept under the project timeline for more description. Projects will always be charged to a budget code if you have a structure of budget codes or grants, and can have, if necessary, an expiration date so that they're only valid until a certain point. So with all this activity, obviously the user will have access to either request or work directly in the facility. Note that the user will have access to other facilities, but having access to facilities in PPMS doesn't mean they have any permissions. You see here, the user not only has no permission, but this facility, probably because they're still building up, doesn't have services, doesn't have projects, and doesn't even have yet bookings possible to be done. And this can change from facility to facility, where you see she can have different access and different possibilities. Now, let's go quickly to the admin side. And here, obviously, we have limited time, so I don't want to take all the time. But you remember on the user side, here I'm connecting as an admin. And this is an example because actually this part is true for both the user and the admin. But here you will have actually the publication reports that we saw earlier manually can be made automatic. We call this the publication discovery, the pub discovery. And what happens is that the system will present the user with all the publications under your ORCID number. So if you have been mentioned as an author in an ORCID, with your ORCID number, the PPMS will present you the possibility of this being your publication, and you'll just have to confirm or not. What is happening when you are sorry, we were in the other facility, so I'm going to jump to the other facility. What is happening as an admin in the facility? You have first many more access and menus and options because you have to manage the facility. You will have here a reminder of everything that is waiting your activity. So for example, you remember Marsha requested some session, and here you can see the session is here. So as an admin, you can go straight to the detail and say, oh, yes, well, this is actually Griffin is assisted by Griffin. This is fine, but actually he's not here. We're going to have to change, and we're going to have to put Joey. And as a result, you're going to save and confirmed automatically the session. So if I go back to the calendar, you will see that now this session is blue. And this is not the session we had earlier, but here you have examples of a validated assisted session. So here it is. This is the one, Marsha, and assistance of Joey, that has been just confirmed here. Okay. Another aspect that you can notice as an admin is that you can cancel on behalf of anyone. You can book in behalf of anyone. You can assist anyone with your technicians or admins. You can cancel the session and cancel the charges. You can cancel and keep the charges. You can just keep the session, but cancel the charges. Imagine something went wrong. You want to keep record of the session, but you don't want to charge for that. The other aspect that the admin can do is obviously all the reporting and administration, but mainly reporting. So for example, we talked about the downtime that the systems will have, and this is for the admin side, the report of every time. So here it's in a month time, but the downtime of all the machines in the facility and the ones that are still down. So I have 2 machines that are down, still being fixed as we speak. Everything will be available here to be actually used by the facility. Everything can be exported to spreadsheet. Everything can be exported as an image and will allow you at all times to be able to look at the activity and the analytics of the facility. Another thing that is interesting is PPMS allows admins to have reports on their homepage. So you see here, I have a few examples. And for example, this one is quite a popular one where the instrument per usage will show you at all times the booking time versus the use time. So in this case, it's over 6 months, I believe, and you will have every time the compare between the booking and the usage. Where here, for example, there's a really bad habit of people just going to the workstation without booking, which seems to be very, realistic. They don't book it, they just go and use it, and you keep track of the usage, although some will actually book it. On the other machine seems to be the opposite, where there's a little bit of overbooking and not so much of a usage. So since we have been seeing all this activity, how does PPMS deal with the invoicing? PPMS will actually create automated invoices, and as a result, you will be able to create your invoice per the periodicity that you need. So there is no imposed periodicity. So if I do an end of month, I will actually, I will actually create the invoice draft and run it through PPMS. It will give you what we call a draft. And the draft, the idea of the draft is to be able to review this data. So for each and every single group and account, you will have the total activity. You note that this is yellow because it's an hyperlink that will take you to the detailed activity. May this be consumables and services, may this be sessions, trainings, anything that has been done will be automatically taken into account. You can share this with the PIs so that the PI can actually verify the estimation. And if there is a complaint at this point, if everything is well and everything is correct, you will then be able to validate the invoice, and this will create several actions. One of them will be the PDF invoices for the external users that you may have, and the financial journal that will be automatically sent and integrated into your financial system in the finance department. From that point on, the charges have been passed on to the accounting system and will be dealt over there. PPMS can track payments, so we can, if need be, keep track of which payments have been received and which payments have not been received. Note also that PPMS can handle prepaid accounts. So if you are in a system where you have prepaid amounts, PPMS will keep track of this for you and will make sure that the person is obviously not charged for the amount that they already paid. This is it for the moment. This is a quick overview of the system and some of the features that we may have available to you. Note that everything you have seen in this demo has been built by hand, which means that they are customized to the need of presentations and tests, and and only shows the flexibility of the system. It means that every single facility can have their own profile, their own workflow, and their own process into PPMS and cohabitate, like you saw by the list of facilities we have in this facility, cohabitate with a centralized system, never changing their own processes, but just harmonizing the invoicing, harmonizing the reporting, and harmonizing the access to the data that is available to them. I hope you enjoyed your first contact with PPMS, and I hope that this will maybe make you want to try it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I hope the presentation was of interest and managed to give you a little flavor of what PPMS could do for you. If you would like to have more information, please contact us. You have our email here, info@stratocore.com. We'll be happy to get you more details or another presentation. If you would like to go further and test PPMS, we would like to offer all the CITO participants a special trial offer, which is an entire production system for free, no commitment, no strings attached, just for you to experience PPMS, to configure it to your requirements and your needs, and see how you like it. It's entirely free, there is no commitment, and we will be very happy to set you up and give you full training and full support during the trial. So do not hesitate, get back to us, contact us for this offer, and we look very much forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.